If a user will tap on the wrong button, it can end in a car crash in public road.
I can imagine that has a bigger impact than you might think.
It's health in stake. We actually just created a mechanism to make sure that AI will do mistakes.
Yeah.
If you're seeing the user is following too blindly, this is when you want to step in.
Yeah. What role does trust play when you basically sell or offer your solutions?
I think trust is like almost the most crucial. We're making sure that the expert is leading and the AI is more like assistant. But this is not how the world is working.
Maybe as a couple of brief words, you're currently heading design at deepc, which is a company that offers an AI radiology operating system. You are working on a product and on a software that if people using it make mistakes, that can have real consequences, right?
Yeah.
So could you just give a brief example, so that it's more graspable for the listeners? What could that be? Like, you're offering the software platform. Why is that so critical?
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
So let's for 1 second think about it. If we will take our phones out, and start to launch open an app, any app, scroll a bit, do an action or two, and then we clicking on the wrong button by mistake can happen. What is the consequences? What can happen? I don't know. Probably not much.
Yep.
You posted the text on LinkedIn or before, you were not ready, so you can delete it, or you ordered the Diet Coke
instead of the normal one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And somebody can open a support ticket maybe if there's like a real issue in the product team. But in some of the products that I working within at the moment, if a user will tap on the wrong button or tap by coincidence or by mistake, not always, but sometimes it can end in a car crash in public road. People can actually, God forbid, lose life or go to the hospital. It may be in that hospital, the doctor that's using one of the products that I'm working on at the moment, will again click on the wrong button, and then it's just not the same impact as for let's say business to customer product.
Because it's basically health that is at stake, right?
It's health in stake, and also the undo mechanism. It's not so simple.
It's not there. So to go a little deeper into understanding what deepc is doing and also what the product is and what it does, can you give like a very clear example of, well, I know that interactions are complex and contexts are complex, but could you like name one situation where like how does someone, and most of the time it's doctors, I suppose, when and how do they interact with your software and how does that help them?
Yeah. So in deepc we are working on infrastructure for hospitals and radiologists and AI. Hospitals have a need to improve the way radiologists working. They need to work faster and more accurate. They need to choose from ton of different AI vendors and AI solutions. deepc helping them to find those and install them. So instead of having like 50 different apps, 50 different vendors, they have one contract with deepc, and this is basically their storefront. But this is not where it's stopping. Also, it's continuing to the radiologist himself. So the radiologist don't need to think which app he need to use, which AI solution he need to use for each use case. He doesn't need to say, this is a head, or this is like a different, we calling it DICOM.
Mhm.
It's like a type of imagery,
Mhm.
different scan or machinery or different body region. It's all happening automatically and by itself. The deep-sea infrastructure or operation system is orchestrating the
Yeah.
data from the scan to the radiologist.
Yeah. So it's basically having like bringing together various like AI radiology software to one, let's say like UI, one interface, one software suite, which just then allows radiologists to like just be faster in what they are doing, right? To not have to like choose, but have like one seamless situation where one seamless interface where you can say, okay, that's the most important thing or the right thing to do now,
Yeah.
and I don't have to click through stuff and choose and compare and
Exactly. And
Okay.
the point here is that everything is happening in their current tools. So we
Okay.
are integrating what we're calling deep integration into their current workflow. So it's very important that the user won't need to, we do have our own interfaces, but we don't, the user can choose using us or what he already have in the hospital, and we can integrate into his current workflow. He doesn't need to know new tools, and he doesn't need to change the apps and jumping in between contexts. It's all happening in wherever is already working.
Okay, so okay, I see. This is because there is a lot of stuff happening in the healthcare and medtech industry out there, and I just wanted to get that right. It's not that you're like offering one specific software solution for one specific case. It's more like bundling like various solutions, making them accessible at the right time in a situation where time can be like a really critical resource.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're like the infrastructure layer. Yeah. And on
Yeah.
top of that can be different AI solutions for different use cases. And it can be like a LLM solution that user can chat with and
Yeah.
ask what is the best guidelines for this
Yeah.
type of use case. And it also including the infrastructure, the orchestration
Yeah.
of the data, and basically end to end.
Yeah. And what is usually where deep-c comes into play? Is it that the hospitals are asking for it because they say, well, the current workflows just don't feel right? So is the need on that side? Or is it also on the side of the people, of the like, let's say, vendors or developers
Yeah.
of the software, of the radiology software, that say, well, with deep-c, my product is getting better because it's getting more accessible for the doctors, for the radiologists.
Yeah. So this is a bit of a complex answer.
Yeah.
Will be because we have different personas and different users. We have the radiologist, which we talked about already, right? And we have the customer, which is basically who maybe run the hospital, the management, and we have the IT people. So they are, it's very IT engineering kind of a solution. So, hospital systems are very complex and regulated. So they are also users. And we have, as you just like hinted, we have the companies or the vendors that creating the AI solutions, the algorithms themselves. Yeah. And they are our partners in the end, right?
Okay.
So this is the way the business run. We have we are agnostics. So we don't do our own AI solutions. We are happy to host as many AI solutions as possible to serve different use cases.
Yeah.
And we're giving the user as an infrastructure, we're giving the user the option to kind of evaluate different solutions before they are deploying.
Okay. So it's basically, I understand. So it's like a very, very technical context that you're working in. So what would especially like interest me is you're leading design at deep-c. In a context that is like very, very technical. Not only the product itself, but also how you like integrate it into the existing ecosystem of a hospital.
Yeah.
what's your role? Like where does design make a difference for deepc, or why does it make a difference? Because it's usually not the most like designy context,
Yeah.
because it's not for end users.
Yeah.
Like people don't really care if it's looking great. It has to work properly.
Exactly. It's like this is the common perspective, especially like a bit starting to be outdated, I would say. So just to finish up the point before, we do create tools for the AI engineers. So they need to submit to SDK and API, like their system, their algorithms to deepc, so the hospitals can use. So we also have tools designed only for AI engineer. As for what UX or user experience or design in general is in deepc and why it's important. Did you ever, all of us, we've been in a doctor room, but not all of us seeing their interfaces. I don't know, sometimes you can glimpse. Also lately, they're actually turning the
Sometimes they do,
Yeah, right? This is your blood test and showing you. And then you're like looking at this interface. And
how can they understand anything there?
Exactly. There's ton of features usually. And I can tell you, I interviewed doctors, they don't know all the features on the interface. They're usually using very specific ones again and again and again. And some they don't even, nobody even told them what is this button going to do. And this was fine, I would say 10 years ago and more. But these people, they are like you and me. They have their phones, they have like smart televisions, they have their home office. They know what is good user experience.
The standard, like, different one.
And then they are coming, and they are coming to work, and it's not like they even left their like excellent user experience at home. They are carrying it with them, right? So they can pull it out and like. And the effort now is to kind of the enterprise software to catch up with the customer experience that we know from our phones or our homes. And people understand that it's important, and also people understand that it's important to make, it's helping to take the right decision in the right time, especially in these environments. So good user experience is actually not a nice to have. It's actually a huge component that helping business. So when I'm going to a doctor, I always look at this.
You're
and I'm fascinated, and sometimes I like forget about like the blood test. Tell me what is this the button is doing. So in deepc, and in general, in all the product that I worked with, I'm trying always to bring this B2C feeling and experience to the enterprise software. And we're always trying to understand what really need to be on the screen and when it needs to be on the screen.
And how many, like, just to put that into perspective, how big is the I think we didn't mention that in the beginning, how big is the whole team of deepc, and what percentage is design there, or like how many people do you lead in comparison to that?
We are at the moment a team of 2 people. deepc is about, I would say, 60 people. And design is we're looking at design as holistic as possible. And that means at the moment I stepped into deepc like about 4 years ago. I was like, we should think about brand experience and customer experience as we're thinking about user experience. And we're trying to bring these two as close as possible. So the customer is the people that our team will meet in conferences. It's like the hospital's management. They're buying the software. They need ROI on the software. The users are the radiologists, or the IT people. They are like actually working on the product itself, clicking the buttons and going through the flows. 2 different people, but the experience need to be this coming from the same place, feeling the same. For these 2 segments.
I understand. And what I'm wondering, or what I'm curious about, is like there is most certainly like a difference between what do the people, also the radiologists, like especially them, use in their data, like what are they used to in terms of interaction with any kind of software app platform
Yeah.
that is maybe very much B2C focused and does not bring a big legacy of hospital infrastructure and interaction in terms of the medtech devices as well. So there's a lot of like change also if you roll out your system to a company or to a doctor. What role does trust play? Because you mentioned that they are used to their workflow, and there are 20 buttons. They usually use maybe 3 of them or 4, so they know exactly what's going to happen, and they don't touch the others because they don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
What role does trust play when, like, you talk to doctors when you basically sell or offer your solutions?
Yeah. So I think trust in a lot of the products that I'm working on is like almost the most crucial or one of the crucial aspects. Before deepc, I worked at Vey, and this was remote-driven cars. If user won't feel comfortable and trust the car,
Yeah.
no business. It's like just won't work. So that was crucial, and we solved it in different ways. But in deepc, if the user don't trust it, he won't use it. And we had an interesting also moment, I would say, or understanding when we designed initially the interface. We so this is about like what is more important. Yeah, trust is important, but speed is also very important. And radiologists need to be very fast on writing their reports.
Yep.
Yeah, as many reports they're going to write, they make more money.
Yeah.
So every clicks or every context changing, it's just like looked very bad, and we need to optimize for speed. So what we did is when the user is opening a study and reviewing the imagery, the scans, we loaded the AI output first. Yeah. So imagine you have a few images.
Mhm.
We are first putting the AI. User can see the abnormality or the annotation that the AI drew on the original image. User is seeing it, he understanding it, you're writing the report, boom, send, done, next.
Yeah.
That's optimization for speed. But if you are doing that, we understand that by doing that, we're creating bias at the radiologist. They are looking at the AI opinion, the annotation, and saying, is it right? Is it wrong? It's right. Let's go. But that way, the radiologist is like a rubber stamp for the AI, right?
Yeah.
What we want is that the expert will form his own opinion.
Yeah, and challenge it in a way.
And then he say, okay, I'm not sure. I want to see a second opinion. Let's look what the AI is doing. Now, this will take him a few more clicks and a bit more time. But that way, we're putting the human in the loop.
Yeah.
We're making sure that the expert is leading and the AI is more like assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you make, because that's a very interesting aspect. I mean, in especially in that context, but in general, like this like over trusting of basically the output that AI is generating. Like, how do you, in terms of interaction or in terms of user experience, try to tackle that? Because this is something that you can influence in how you design the interaction in the end.
So it's not only trust, but it's also kind of understanding what is the right solution to your use case. And for that, we created the AI evaluator. So, and this is not actually the job that the user have in mind. He doesn't want to evaluate. He wants to write a report.
Yeah.
But we understood another job is to decide what is the best solution for my clinic and to gain trust in by doing that. So user is having like a process. It's like a side job, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's taking 50, let's say, samples, study samples, and running it through 2 different solutions. And he's going study by study, accept, reject of the AI output. In the end, he's seeing some sort of like a dashboard giving him like the synthesizing the data and the analytics of like this process. And then he can say, okay, this is perform better, this doesn't perform, or this creating bias, or this kind of like insights. He can, and by that he's also gaining trust into the system, right? Because he played with the system, he's seeing what he did, and he didn't deploy it yet. It's just like this safe environment of trying it out. And this is like a game changer, because imagine that before that they needed to implement and deploy the system, the AI to their system. And they needed to do many of those. And with different contracts with different vendors.
So okay, I see.
And how do you compare one to the other? It's like
and like if we're talking about the work directly, because this is something that obviously fosters trust. You know, there's if you have that human in the loop, if you actively like also keep the human in the loop, because he needs to learn and understand that there are also maybe sometimes imperfections in what AI can bring. But I can imagine also sometimes the other way around. You mentioned biases beforehand, that people, if they're doing the same thing over and over again, and they get their estimation or their opinion already pre-evaluated by an AI, how do you make sure that it's not like that they are staying critic enough towards what is told or is synthesized by AI then?
I think that's it's small tricks of what I just say about like changing the order. It's such a small thing, just put one picture on top of the other as default, but you kind of totally first of all you going against your other design principle, which is speed, but you tapping into like, okay, we actually just created a mechanism to make sure that AI will do mistakes. Right? And we don't want the user or humans to just like follow in that situation full automation. Right? We must have a human in the loop. So doing these small tweaks and doing like all this usability testing and to understand and observe the user and come and challenge the user and make sure that if you're seeing the user is following too blindly, this is when you want to step in and go even against your other principles.
And I mean, this is how's the feedback on the users when it comes to that? Because I can imagine I think each and every one of us is using AI, and whenever I use it, I really get into that habit of wanting to have things fast, and then I'm trying to, and I can see myself leaving myself out of loops because I want to have things faster. And if I then imagine that the system like feedbacks me and like forces me to go back in and invest more time and make it more complicated for me, even though it's small steps. Like, how's the feedback from the users there? I can imagine they're saying, well, actually, that doesn't feel as smooth as I would like it to be, because I am asked on, or my flow in that kind of sense is somehow interrupted.
So you need to understand that the users, they never use such a thing, and they don't know what they actually want or need, because they never experienced. We're talking about like first time experiences. And what you will define for them will become almost like the first nature of things. And I have a funny story about it. When I worked in Vey, in the remote driven cars, our kind of belief was that users don't want to communicate with the world, right? You were getting into the taxi. You don't want the taxi driver to talk to you. You don't want to talk to him. You want your privacy, and we like tapped into it, right? No, there's no driver in the car. Let's lead by that. Peace of mind, quiet. And we did a lot of usability tests. User coming into the car, entering, and car is driving with no driver in the car, and that's the way we run. One usability test day that we're doing a few sessions, we had an issue in the audio, and the driver, which is driving from the office, he have a protocol that he need to say what he's seeing and what he's going to do. It's a safety protocol, and he's saying stuff like, I'm seeing somebody crossing the road, I'm going to take right, red light, this kind of stuff. And in that usability day, we had an audio issue. In the car, you could hear the office, you could hear the driver, and we cannot disable it.
Yeah.
But it was already, users were there, let's run with it.
Yeah.
But because it was so present, obviously I also tapped into it.
Yeah.
I was like, how that make you feel?
Yeah.
And across the board, all users liked it. They found it that hearing the driver, making him feel like there's somebody here. It's not only automation machine, human in the loop. They liked it that the user said what he's seeing, but because it's funny. I mean, imagine that you're sitting in the taxi and the driver will tell you what he's seeing. And this is about early adoption and understanding. And us also, we don't know what the user. And the first thing we're going to give to him, this is what they're going to take. And they won't ask, I want to eat the driver. But
okay, so it's basically not as people are not used to using it enough, so that there could be any biases or because it's just not there for long enough.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you just need to experiment with solutions.
Yeah.
Okay,
I see. And okay, and what would interest me, we've been talking about trust and the risk of people leaning or relying too much on it. If we talk about how that product was developed or how that software was developed, you haven't been there since day one, right?
Since day two.
Okay, since day two. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite routine for me to come to a job and I'm the first non-engineer. I'm coming.
Yeah, you were the first one that was not from engineering.
Yeah, I'm coming for the PM.
Yeah. What changed the most? Looking at the product itself, what changed the most from the idea when you started, from the vision to that's where we currently are?
Yeah, ton, a lot.
Yeah.
It's coming to there's two reasons. Not only, specifically in deepc, it's because also the landscape changing all the time. We are a startup. We are moving and changing and pivoting, not completely pivoting, but deepc in the beginning did had for example, a AI solution that developed in-house, or we kind of shifting and focusing on different personas as we go and understanding the field and what the users and the customer needs. So that's affecting also obviously the product. So that's one reason. The other reason is when you are coming early, the product usually will be created by engineers for engineers, right? Because there's no really users yet. There's some beta, still trying to kind of put everything together to show investors and so on. So the user experience is not mature. It's very kind of young. You see a lot of data points. There's a lot of edge cases that are not supported. And you always need to kind of, first of all, after understanding the user, is understanding the flow. And the flows are usually not narrative. They're not you can create a narrative from it, but it's not linear.
Yeah.
It's not like you're starting at I don't know, in an empty basket. You're searching, you're selecting, you check out. You're jumping back and forth, and by designing these flows, you kind of completely designing the product in the end.
So it was okay. And what was there something that you underestimated a lot when you came along as one of the first people that were non-engineers? and then came into that situation where left and right was like engineering, and then you came in and
there's some concepts that are always very challenging to understand with this deep tech and in these domains and sectors. So you always feel very dumb in the beginning, but everybody understands it. And there's something very also magical in this place because you are feeling very free to ask questions, right? And people are very happy to help you and to understand because you're not only understanding the tech behind it, you're also understanding now what is to be a radiologist. And it just like it's so much information and so much things to learn. It's very exciting.
So you'd say like understanding the whole context, not only from tech but also from the user, because it's like such a specific case working with those people.
This is a huge part of the job that I like, to come to like a product and learn it, learn the user, learn the product, learn the tech behind it, and hopefully people will be open to explain.
I mean, I can imagine this is what I very often hear, is that like with companies that are quite small, you know, teams are quite small, very engaged, like there's just like a blank page and not much yet apart from a vision and maybe like first steps, that that's a very, very different view on things than people that have been working in an organization. We have I had a chat today with like we talked about SAP, for example, like that really, really big player, where change is just and also explaining things and thinking about it and also telling people and helping them understand the whole thing is just not as essential compared to smaller companies. Maybe like if you look at your day-to-day work, you said you're also you're two people in design now, so I can imagine you're like really hands-on still, you know, really knees deep into the concepts and the design itself.
Correct.
And that happens in a context that is you know, a broader health tech context. What are there principles that you felt like you're sticking to when working in that specific context of deep tech and health? When it comes to design, when it comes to concepting, is there like things that you like, principles that you bring along that you say, well, okay, I have to have that in mind, whatever I'm doing?
Yes. So there's a lot of tension between are we designing for first time user, like somebody unboxing and then using it, or like the heavy user, right? Like somebody that every day working with it. If you are designing for the unbox solution, you're going to focus on onboarding and on communicating what each feature is doing. If you're going to design for speed and like the power user, you're gonna reduce the stuff. You're gonna make sure that you're gonna rely on the user that know how to use the system, and then it can be more efficient. And we kind of now, for example, the principle we started as like heavy user. Okay, the user is like was in the beginning was so heavy. It was actually our team because we need to demonstrate it. We don't even need to onboard anybody. We need to just demonstrate it, and our team know exactly what to click when. Then it became okay. We have a few customers. We are onboarding them ourselves. We need to tweak a bit stuff, but we making sure that they know where stuff are and how to use it. Now we are shifting to a different principle, which is like self-service or understanding by yourself. So we have a lot of tool tips and a lot of like onboarding processes that user can trigger or happening automatically on the unboxing. I mentioned already optimizing for clicks, so as many clicks as less clicks as possible, right? We're monitoring that. We actually hearing from the users saying this is too many clicks, and then we're like, okay, let's find a solution. This solution have X amount of clicks, that one have X amount of clicks.
Okay.
data-driven decision making. This is another principle.
Yeah.
We're also using not only in the product but also in the marketing and the website, for example, right? The optimization for user flow and conversions. This type of
Okay, that's
and trust, and we talked about a few of the stuff already.
I guess like that shift in because you mentioned like power user efficiency is key. It's the most important thing, and then there's first time users, which is a whole different story. The product software itself is already rolled out, so there are so there was that switch already happened from people that know how to use it because they helped developing it from the team to okay, it's alive. It's live now. There's company out there that are onboarding it, that are using it the first time. That already happened, right? Okay. So I can imagine this is also where that switch came from because
organic.
Organically, exactly.
But you do need to pay attention. You do need to see that it's happening, right? And you do need to understand that, okay, now we need to spend time on that because we wanted to do onboarding a long time ago. But you won't do onboarding if there's no need now for onboarding like users. Why would you? We're a small company. We don't have a lot of people. Why would you put your efforts on that, right? You need to understand, and this is how like also the design shifting together with the product and the need and the customers.
Especially when like time and resources are like very very scarce, so there's not a lot of time and room. So you always, I guess, have to reprioritize like where's the focus
aggressively.
If we think about the context of use, what role does thinking of deepc, what role does the whole physical world play in that context? Does it play a huge role, or is it nothing that you really have to have in mind because it's just
the environment?
Exactly. Because it's just a software.
So there is a few, I would say, principles that you need to follow. You need to understand like the setup of the user. So the user have, like example, like a specific setup of screens. They are working with like a horizontal and next to it a vertical, and which kind of tool they're using on this one, and which kind of tool they're using on that. And so in that way you do need to understand. You also need to think about, okay, usually they are like more like dimmed, they're like very screen people. So we are using a dark theme for the UI. So there is this stuff that you need to kind of understand about the environment of like, okay, what happened there when they are leaving their room. They still need to be kind of notifying case. So you do need to be aware to where they are staying. But I think where I felt it more was actually working on the remote driving and remote driven cars. That were because you are driving a car, right? So not only that a car will come and there's nobody in the car, and they were like, or even no, the car is parking and they found the car, they won't enter the car if they don't understand the concept behind it, and then they just will wait for the thinking maybe the driver is going to pee or whatever, or going to the Spitien.
I understand.
Right? So they're just waiting. And another, and from the other side, we had one issue that we tried to solve, which for the driver in the office, there was a gap between what you're feeling in the car, the passenger, if you are driving, starting accelerating too fast, for example, or taking a turn too sharp. And the driver in the car in the office don't feel anything.
Doesn't feel that,
right? There's not the G-force that you're feeling if you're accelerating, pushing you, or your body is moving when you're taking a turn. And this is uncomfortable for the user. It can also be a risk if the driver doesn't understand how the car is behaving. And you're taking this as granted when you're driving a car.
And also when you think about driving a car.
Exactly. It's natural into us. And this is what we're calling natural mapping. How do we take this feeling and map it to the digital experience? And this natural mapping is something that when I have a chance or need, this is when I'm using it. And what we try to do is, or how natural mapping helps us to solve this issue is before we tried to use this mapping, we thought about different indicators on the screen. Sharp, too sharp, high G, or like a bad kicker. It's a physical thing that giving you like in the chair a vibration.
Yeah.
But this is not how the world is working. This is not what we know from cars. So after trying to ideation and a few solutions didn't work or didn't stick, what we did is after observing many cars and experience driver with this notion of problems that we're trying to solve, I noticed like the small tree that people hanging on the mirror.
Yeah.
It's like this scent, right?
Yeah. That's like it's called Wunderbaum, like in
Wunderbaum.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stimmt genau.
Yeah.
And it's moving, you know?
Yeah.
It's up like a small string and it's moving, very simple.
Yeah.
Now, what if you're going to put that on the UI of the driver on the screen in exactly the same position?
Yeah.
Natural mapping. Yeah, you understand. We grew into this element. We seeing it. We don't know more words need to be communicated.
Yeah.
And put a more, or maybe like a color on it. So if it's red, it's more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, it's.
I didn't even need to. Explain you the solution. You already can.
I already knew what you meant. But that was mostly a thing that came into play on your previous role.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. Because and right now I can imagine it's also sometimes needed, but not as heavily as it was on your last role when it was about like the remote driving experience. Was there ever a design decision that you made at deepc or also before where you felt like this was like in hindsight this was really risky to do, like we should not have done that?
I mean, it's usually happening when you gonna take or you kind of trying to push a big decision, which gonna shift the team way of working, for example, or what they're working on. And so in Vey, it was in the self-driving car or like the remote driving car, it was about from now on, we're going to talk to the user when he's coming to the car. We're going to tell him, good morning, where I'm going to drive. I'm going to say out loud what I'm seeing. If you want me to stop, tell me.
Yeah.
This is basically shifting all the strategy because the strategy was we don't tell the secret, we don't explain what is the technology behind it. User have peace of mind, and we saving our business secrets.
Yeah.
And then, then
we
changed
everything changed.
In deepc, it was when we brought everything together. We had different products, different interfaces, and we needed to bring everything into one place. The experience for the engineers, the people that create the AI, the radiologists, the analytics, the people that are managing the hospitals, everything will come to one place, one interface. And you're going to step on a few people's toes, maybe, while doing it, because the product is working in that ways, and the teams are dedicated to maybe a specific initiative or interface. So everything needs to be very sensitive and slow-moving and get okay and clear from everyone.
So the risk was more like on the internal side rather than on the users in that case, because people. Why was that? Like, why? Because people were too, like, invested into what they already were working on, or
change. People don't like change. You feel comfortable where you are. You know when you are, and now we need to maybe shift teams. We need maybe to change the way we're thinking. Maybe now this person, the team, won't work on this specific screen anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe which we won't be user-centered anymore. It will be more like back-end and engineering-centered.
I can imagine that this is like has a bigger impact than you might think because, it also, I mean, the people working on it are also biased in a way, and that's not good if you want to have it like fully centered on what the user needs.
Yeah, totally. And you need the trust. You need, in both cases, you need people You need people to the team. You need to that they will trust you.
Yeah.
And you need like to kind of think about how do you bring them into the journey and supporting this change.
And especially when you try to like foster a culture of autonomy. We had that in one of the last episodes where we talked a lot about simplifying decisions, simplifying design and design workflows. And the conclusion was, I think it was Felix who said that in the last episode, that he wants his team to be like autonomous, like they should love to do what they do, and they should like love to also put the user in center. And if you're like loving what you've been working on, and then you're asked to not do it because of strategic changes that are based on user needs or user wishes, then that somehow is like can probably create tension. I can definitely see that. Maybe as one like for before we wrap it up here, what was the one thing that you learned during your work at deepc, like the is there a learning that you had during your time there, where you felt like, okay, yeah, that's new, I remember that?
So I think kind of building on what I said before, is how do you it's one thing to have a plan and to kind of lay it out, but in the end you want to do it by yourself. And how do you make people to kind of embrace your ideas and take it forward? Talking about autonomy, how do you empower some other people to have autonomy and kind of drive ideas that you came with?
Okay.
And it's not about managing the work. It's kind of like
having them follow like one vision.
When also to release this. Okay, I have a vision. This is how the different products will come together. But go ahead and now like actually first of all break my idea. Tell me it's a bad idea, right? You have the autonomy to do that. But you also have the autonomy now to kind of, okay, this is only like the wireframe, right? There's a ton of questions now to dig in and to validate assumptions and to see if that actually how each component will work in that wireframe.
That's an interesting answer, because it has, I think, a lot to do with culture then as well, which would, I think, be a little much for today. But it was a pleasure having you. I really appreciated the insights also towards deepc, and also we touched a little bit upon your role that you had before deepc, which I also found very interesting. Thanks a lot. Thanks that you were here, and thanks for listening, and until next time. Bye bye.